Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at a game between Sergei Movsesian with the white pieces and a player named Berelowitsch with the black pieces. This is a French defense advanced variation, and I want to talk about the merits of the grip formation. So we're going to get through this game quite quickly with some brief analysis till we get to where we want to get to. Alright, so this game started off after 5, bishop d7, bishop e2, knight g e7, so just some typical French advanced closed position type stuff here. Black, of course, is trying to attack black is trying to attack white at d4, that pawn chain right there, and you can see that the knight on c6, the knight on f5. This provokes white to bring his knight back to c2 to protect. Knight b4, wanting to trade off that c2 knight, right? Um, exploiting the fact that the queen has to capture the knight on c2 and also gain the tempo because now the queen will be exposed on c2. And there you go, rook c8, queen d3, and now queen b6. So as we can see here, as a lot of typical French positions go, black just does not have quite enough to capture the pawn on d4. Of course, the opening will be no good for white if he could just win, win the pawn. But he puts enough pressure on the position where sometimes white can lose time misplacing his pieces in order to defend his center. With the center closed like this, the play often quickly transfers to the wings, and you can see that white has more space on the king side thanks to his advanced e5 pawn, and that is generally the direction he is going to attack. However, this is a rich opening, and what you'll often see, especially at grandmaster level, because the plans are too sophisticated to really defeat another top level player with a just one dimensional plan. Maybe at the lower levels you can just say, okay, I'm going to attack on the king side and be real obvious about it. But at this level, you need to mix it up a little bit. And what you'll see is players attacking not only on the king side, that might be their primary attack, but then they'll be forced because the other player will, set up defenses towards such a, one-dimensional attack, and then they'll have to switch their attack to the center or to the queen side, and that's what you'll see here. So you see h4, h6. So, oh yeah, and conversely, black will be trying to attack on the queen side. You see the open c file. Just think Sicilian defense, where black utilizes the open c file. Okay, the difference here is though, in the Sicilian, the c file is semi-open, so it's usually black that benefits a little more from it because usually there's a knight on c3 and a pawn on c2. However, here the c file is kind of up for grabs. Now, usually black gets a hold of it first, and then you'll see white trying to fight for to take it over. Okay, so this creates for some exciting games. These imbalances in the position. a4. Bishop to b4, h5, gaining more space on the king side. And you can see this is a dangerous setup, the pawn structure for white, especially going into the endgame. And I think that's what's appealing about this opening also to many players, is that if you don't get the direct king side piece attack right in the middle game, that with your space advantage, often you'll have good endgame prospects also. Bishop f4, a5, rook fc1. So you can see here white contesting the c file, rook c6, g4, kicking the knight out, knight e7, bishop to e3, rook takes c1, and now bishop takes c1. Rook takes c1 is possible, but then you would lose the pawn on a4. So a little tactical reasoning there for capturing with the bishop. Knight c6, and notice how although we're 20 moves in, you can see black still constantly trying to attack and pressure the white center. Bishop e3, dark square bishop goes back to e7, and now b3. So play is slowed down. We can say the game is pretty much equal here, But White's play now is just basically stifle Black's queenside counterplay, and then he's going to push his pawns on the king side. That's his plan. Make sure that Black's ideas are shut down before he pursues his any further. So knight b4, queen d2, knight c6. Of course, Black would take a draw here if he could get the position repeated. Bishop d1, just fortifying the b3 pawn. King d8, king g2, king c7, and now we can see the Black king has moved the safety away from the king side. And hey, that's great if Black were just, if White were just being one-dimensional and pursuing some king side attack with the pieces, because the king is not even over there. Okay. Knight g1, what's the purpose for this? The knight is clearing the way for the f pawn to go to f4, and then the knight wants to restation itself at g3 to later on support the push f5. So king b8, so the Black king is safe. So we won't see any mating attack, right? Knight e2, rook c8, f4, and notice how both sides adhere to their plans. White is attacking where he's has more space at, and Black is attacking on his side of the board where he's more dominant. Knight b4 again, rooks come off. Knight takes c1, queen c7, and knight e2. Again, note how Black, although he has more territory on the queen side, he's not able to make any progress, right? He's not able to penetrate because of that bishop on c2, right? Making it very difficult for the knight to come in. The light squares are covered pretty good. The queen can't come in, and so Black is kind of struggling a little bit for ideas, whereas White's pawns are mobile on the king side. And now he has this grip formation that I spoke about at the beginning of the video. This signifies your grip formation when you have pawn on e5, pawn on h5, and pawns on g4, g4 and f4, and Black has this setup conversely. And it's the same setup. The difference is that White has more space. Notice that his two pawns that are ahead are on the 5th rank. All right, and Black's pawns are only on his 3rd rank, right? So this creates all types of tactical opportunities to create passed pawns. And as the game gets closer to the ending, it becomes more dangerous because now you might not have the heavy pieces that can switch over there and stop a passed pawn. All right, say if you just have kings on the board and the king is, on the other side of the board and you make a pawn sacrifice, this is where having these type of setups is advantageous in the endgame. Again, continue b6, knight g3, again to perhaps support this later on. And now bishop c8. So Black is kind of marking time here a little bit, perhaps having ideas of bringing this bishop to a more positive location, like a6, and then perhaps maybe able to get his pieces a little more active and penetrate into the white position. Before Black can do that, g5 is played, okay? And now that Black's queenside counterplay has been slowed down to molasses, White pushes, and this is the benefits of the grip formation. If Black takes, then White will get a pass pawn. So for instance, h takes g5, f takes g5, and you can already see the danger here. Queen d8, for example, h6, g takes, queen g8. And now Black would have to keep an eye on that pawn for the rest of the game, and that pawn will probably be decisive at some point. This is why Black played king a7. He didn't want to take. However, another benefit of this formation is that you're going to get a pass pawn anyway. So Movsesian just takes. G takes h6, g takes h6, and now f5. Okay? Why f5? Because now this pawn, again, unprotected. Right? White doesn't mind allowing e takes f5. Okay? And this is what happened in the game. E takes f5, and bishop takes h6, and you see the same result. Dangerous pass pawn. Another alternative, of course, is bishop f8. and you still lose the pawn anyway. Again, pass pawn. So when you have that grip formation, those are the type of scenarios that you are looking for. Back to the game, bishop takes h6, and now black panics here and plays this move f4. And his idea is that this bishop, is kind of shut out, and he wants to line up the queen and bishop and try to create some attacking possibilities here. So bishop takes f4 is played, queen d7, and now king g1. Also possible and stronger, but we don't know the time situation. Of course, it's natural to want to avoid any kind of check here. But after h6, the game is also over with, say, f6, king g1, queen d8, h7. Again, that pawn is going to, be decisive. That advanced pawn on h7. And there's nothing black can do about bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, and queen e3, for example. King g1 is acceptable. Knight hop back, bishop e3. Again, notice the constant vigilance the whole game that white kept on his center. It's h6, h7, and of course now panicking, black falls for a tactical shot right here. That was the idea behind this move. This pawn is about the queen. And so now bishop f6 guarding the queening square. However, but with this bishop on e3, the pin is there, and the queen takes a5. Okay, so that was it, and Berelowitsch had to resign. So I hope that you got to get a glimpse, of a little bit of understanding. I might have some other videos. I have so many videos. I think I have like 500 where I discuss the grip formation in more detail, and where I just make a video just about that particular formation, because if you understand this formation, it'll definitely help your chess. And if I think I do, but if I don't have one, I think I will just make one with just discussing games with this particular formation, because it is a very powerful formation, which you will see a lot. And also, you can understand why in a lot of openings, for instance, your Carol Khan variations, you'll see the pawn rush to rushed up the board to h4, h5, and where the bishop goes back to h7 and so on, right? It's not for an immediate reward, but it's usually in the end game where these things come about, where pawn sacrifices will just completely break the back an opponent who's barely holding on in a particular position. So that'll be all for this video. Please like, subscribe, check the links down below. There's gonna be videos and products related to this particular opening, and I'll see you guys on the next video.